threw me out of that house on Thanksgiving night. He had no idea that the house he was throwing me out of actually belonged to me. For 5 years, I had been secretly paying every mortgage payment, every utility bill, every dollar that kept my family comfortable, and none of them ever knew it. That night, they found out exactly what happens when you humiliate the one person quietly holding your entire world together. My name is Emma Caldwell. I am 35 years old, a single mother to my 7-year-old son Lucas, and until last Thanksgiving, my family believed I was the biggest failure they had ever produced. What they did not know was that I was worth $91 million, and that the roof over their heads, the car in the driveway, even the china on the table that night, all of it existed because of a business I built from nothing while they told everyone I could not get my life together. The dinner started normal enough. My brother Mark had driven in from Charlotte with his wife Jessica and their twins. My mother Linda had the good china out. My father Richard sat at the head of the table the way he always did, arms crossed, watching me the second I walked in with Lucas beside me. I felt the tension before I even sat down, that specific kind of silence that tells you something has already been decided about you before you open your mouth. 20 minutes into dinner, my father put down his fork and looked straight at me. "You wasted your education," he said. "We paid for that degree, and you are raising a kid alone with nothing to show for yourself. Look at your brother. Look at what he built." "What have you built, Emma?" I felt my face go hot, but I kept my mouth shut because I had learned a long time ago that defending myself at that table never changed anything. My mother stared at her plate. Nobody else said a word. Then he stood up and his voice filled the whole room. He said I had every opportunity a person could ask for and threw it all away. That I embarrassed this family every single time I walked through that door. And that as far as he was concerned, I had stopped being his real daughter the day I came home pregnant with no husband and no plan. "Get out," he said, pointing straight at me. "Get out of my house and do not come back until you have actually made something of your life." Lucas started crying at the little table by the window, confused by all the shouting. I did not argue. I did not explain. I simply stood up, said all right, and walked over to scoop him into my arms. Nobody moved to stop me. Nobody said goodbye. I grabbed our coats, buckled Lucas into his booster seat outside in the cold, and sat there for 1 second before I pulled away from the curb, thinking about the fact that I had just been thrown out of a house I quietly owned. 5 years earlier, none of this existed. I was 29, freshly single, pregnant, living in a cold apartment on the edge of Denver with just enough money for 2 more months of rent. My first attempt at a business failed within 4 months, a handmade jewelry shop that lost almost everything I had saved. I remember sitting on my kitchen floor after that failure, genuinely wondering if I should just move back home and let my father be right about me. Instead, I opened my laptop one more time and started building something new, an online marketplace for independent American artists, and I called it Silver Cove. The first year nearly destroyed me. I missed rent twice. I sold my car to cover payroll for 2 part-time assistants I probably should not have hired yet. I taught myself marketing from free videos at 2 a.m. while Lucas slept in a crib beside my desk, and there were entire weeks where I was certain the whole thing was going to collapse under me. But slowly, painfully, it did not collapse. A lifestyle blog featured Silver Cove, orders started coming in faster than I could fill them, and within 3 years I was signing licensing deals with fashion houses in Europe and negotiating my own contracts in glass towers in New York. Still wearing the same jeans and cardigan I always had, I never told my family any of it. I bought their house outright and let my mother believe an anonymous church donor covered it. I paid off my brother's law school debt through a shell company so he would never trace it back to me. Even the Paris trip he bragged about every Christmas came out of my account. I told myself I was protecting them from feeling indebted to me, but really, I think I was protecting myself from finding out they still would not be proud of me even if they knew. The night I got home from that Thanksgiving dinner, after Lucas finally fell asleep, I opened my laptop and looked at every single transaction quietly holding my family's life together. Then, one by one, I started shutting them down. I stopped the mortgage payments. I canceled my brother's automatic deposits. I had my father's car loan flagged for immediate repossession. My hands did not shake once. For the first time in years, I felt something that actually resembled peace. 3 weeks later, everything came apart for them at once. The bank sent a foreclosure notice to the house. A tow truck showed up at my father's church on a Sunday morning and repossessed his car in front of half his congregation while he stood there with his coffee still in his hand. My brother got a call from his firm asking uncomfortable questions after his own loan payments bounced, and for the first time in his career, people at work started looking at him differently. My mother called me in a panic, telling me the family was falling apart and she did not understand what was happening. Then, 2 days after that call, a business magazine published a full feature on Silver Cove, with my photo on the cover and the headline naming me as the founder behind a $91 million company. My mother later told me my father was sitting at the kitchen table when Mark forwarded him the article, and he went completely silent, staring at my face on his phone screen. The same daughter he had thrown out weeks earlier for supposedly amounting to nothing. Word spread through the whole family within hours. The daughter they called a failure had been the one holding their entire lives together the whole time. My mother called me that same evening, her voice shaking, telling me the bank had contacted them, and she did not know what was happening or why. I sat at my kitchen table in Hawaii, watching the ocean outside, and told her the truth calmly. I told her I had been paying for everything for 5 years, and that after being told I was not even really her daughter anymore, I finally understood I deserved better than silence in return for everything I gave. She started crying, saying she never knew, that if she had known, she never would have let that night happen the way it did. I told her she never asked. Nobody in that family ever once wanted to know my real story, only how I failed to fit the version of me they had already decided on. My voice wavered for a moment, but I steadied it and told her I forgave her, though things could never simply return to how they used to be, because I refused to be anyone's secret shame again. Silence stretched out on the line before she finally said I was right, that she wanted to know the real me, that she did not want to lose me a second time. In the months after that, things shifted slowly and imperfectly. My father sent a short note instead of calling, saying they missed me and were proud even if it was hard for him to say out loud. Mark called once, awkward but sincere, asking about Lucas like we were simply family again. I did not restore the payments. I did not rebuild the safety net I had spent years quietly maintaining. What I gave them instead was honesty, and for the first time, a relationship built on something other than a secret. Back in Maui, Lucas and I kept building the life we had earned for ourselves. Mornings on the sand, easy laughter, a home that finally felt like it belonged to us in every sense. I launched my charity, Haven of Grace, for single mothers who had felt as invisible as I once did. And letters started arriving from women across the country who had never met me, but suddenly felt like someone believed in them. Some nights, sitting on my balcony under the stars, I think back to my father pointing his finger across that table, and to the one word I said before I walked out. All right, 2 small words that changed absolutely everything about the life I chose to live after. I do not carry the title of family disappointment anymore, and I never will again. I am simply Emma, imperfect and proud, standing in a life I built with my own 2 hands, on a beach where the ocean never once asked me to explain myself. I finally believe, without any doubt left in me, that I was always enough. If this story hit something in you, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications, because here on The Revenge Tales, we bring you real stories of betrayal, resilience, and the exact moment someone finally chooses themselves. Tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you were standing in Emma's shoes that night? I read every single one. See you in the next story.